Welcome to today's video, where we'll be discussing a critical part of your homeowner's insurance: additional living expense coverage. This coverage can be a lifesaver when unexpected damage to your home forces you to temporarily relocate. So, what exactly is additional living expense coverage? It's part of most standard homeowners insurance policies and helps pay for extra costs when your home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Think of things like rent for a temporary home, additional food expenses, and even laundry costs. This ensures you maintain your standard of living while repairs are being made. But there's an important catch. Additional living expense coverage only kicks in if the damage to your home is caused by a direct physical loss from a peril that's covered under your policy. These perils are specifically listed, like fire, lightning, or windstorms. If the damage comes from something not covered, like a flood, unless you have flood insurance, additional living expense coverage won't apply. Let's break that down. If your home catches fire, which is a covered peril, and you're forced to move out, additional living expense coverage will help with temporary housing. On the other hand, if your home is flooded due to rising water, and flood coverage wasn't part of your policy, additional living expense coverage wouldn't be available for those expenses. So, what exactly does additional living expense coverage cover? Here are some common expenses: temporary housing, rent for an apartment or hotel stay; food, the extra cost of eating out beyond your normal food budget; transportation, increased commuting expenses; pet boarding. If your pets can't stay with you at your temporary location, keep in mind, additional living expense coverage only covers the costs you incur beyond your usual expenses. Now, you might be wondering, how long does additional living expense coverage last? That depends on your policy, but it typically covers the additional expenses for the time it takes to repair or rebuild your home, or until you move to a permanent new residence. Some policies may set a time limit, like 12 months or 24 months, so it's important to check the details of your specific policy. It's also important to know that additional living expense coverage has limits. Most policies will cap the total amount they pay for additional living expenses, often based on a percentage of your dwelling coverage amount. For example, if your home is insured for $300,000, your additional living expense coverage might be capped at 30% of that amount, meaning $90,000 in total coverage. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine a family whose home is severely damaged by a fire. They're forced to live in a rental property for 6 months while their home is repaired. Additional living expense coverage helps pay their rent, covers the extra costs of dining out, and even takes care of their increased travel expenses, ensuring they're not out of pocket for these costs. It's just as important to understand what additional living expense coverage doesn't cover. It won't pay for repairs to your home or personal belongings, which are covered under different sections of your policy. Additional living expense coverage also doesn't cover business losses if you work from home or any upgrades you choose to make during the rebuilding process. To make sure you're properly protected, it's a good idea to review your additional living expense coverage limits with your insurance agent. You want to make sure you have enough coverage to maintain your standard of living if something happens to your home. It's also important to update your policy as your family or housing needs change. In conclusion, additional living expense coverage is a vital part of your homeowner's insurance, offering peace of mind during challenging times. It ensures that even when disaster strikes, you can still maintain your quality of life. Make sure to review your policy, understand the covered perils, and talk to your agent if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more homeowners insurance tips and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.